It's definitely strange that just in the middle of the desert, there's just this random staircase.
What is the purpose of this mysterious staircase? Could it lead to a tunnel entry? Could it be the entrance to a royal tomb?
Beneath Egypt's western desert, archaeologists have uncovered something that defies explanation. A sealed staircase cut deep into bedrock, untouched for centuries. Unlike tombs or temples we've seen before, this stairway descends into darkness and has never been opened. Whispers claim it hides ritual chambers, lost dynasties, or something even older than the Pharaohs. Officials call it a restricted zone, but secrecy only fuels speculation. Why is it closed off? Why does its mystery endure? In this video, we'll uncover the history, the theories, and the technologies that surround this enigmatic staircase, and explore why its secrets may rewrite history itself. The desert's hidden descent. The story begins not with a towering monument or a gleaming relic, but with silence, an expanse of desert where the sand drifts endlessly across jagged rock. To the casual traveler, the western edge of the Nile Plateau near Abu Rawash looks like nothing more than a barren wasteland. Yet beneath that burning stillness lies a carved descent into darkness, a staircase cut deep into bedrock, and a mystery that has stirred whispers for more than a decade. The structure itself is deceptively simple. Imagine approaching the plateau and finding not an ornate entrance, but a yawning trench. Its edges are sharp and deliberate, cut straight into the stone as though someone long ago sought to open a controlled gateway downward.
In this remote desert just outside of Cairo, there are these mysterious stairs. Anything about them, they were uncovered about 15 years ago. You can see here there's tombs.
The steps begin broad and shallow, then gradually tighten, steepening into a descent that forces even the most cautious visitor to move slowly. Those who have managed to peer down describe the stone as worn but intact, each step weathered by time but not destroyed. At the bottom, where the natural light fails, lies the true enigma, a vertical shaft clogged with rubble and stagnant water. Beyond that, no one knows. Sealed is how archaeologists refer to it. Yet, at the same time, such sealing doesn't necessarily imply in the obvious way that some overt stone slab or a locked gate might fail to do. In this case, sealed means that whatever exists beyond has never been entered, never excavated, and never recorded. Either the shaft abruptly ends in rubble, or perhaps it hides a door or a passage to chambers farther below. The truth, therefore, will remain shadowy and ambiguous without any formal excavation. This staircase first attracted global attention from a fragmented perspective. Amateur explorers came upon it years ago, shooting wobbly videos of the trench and its dizzying descent. These went viral.
It's definitely strange that just in the middle of the desert, there's just this random staircase.
Igniting debates about the veracity of the finding, perhaps some lost quarry. Gradually, researchers, independent journalists, and curious travelers clustered more pieces of evidence. Drone footage captured the view of the entire staircase, stretching far below what anyone would have expected. Photographs chronicled unnerving precision, the walls almost evenly smoothed over. But with scant official reporting, the Egyptian authorities declared the site forbidden, intensifying an already thick air of secrecy. To those outside archaeology, the idea of a sealed staircase untouched for millennia conjures images of hidden tombs, golden treasure, or forgotten dynasties waiting in the dark. To skeptics, it is just as easily explained. A functional shaft may be a well or quarry feature, abandoned when its use ended. Yet, the allure of the unknown persists. What makes the descent so compelling is not what we know about it, it's what we don't. Unlike the grand pyramids of Giza, where inscriptions and burial chambers leave clues to their purpose, the staircase is mute. No hieroglyphs, no carvings, no clear markers of ritual intent, just steps, stone, and silence. The dynamism comes most from the silence it oppresses. Egyptologist and theoretician visions concur on no valid evidence of excavation. Some take it for granted that they are connected to the remains of a ruined pyramid of Djedefre not far to the northwest. Others suspect they may date back before even his time. Relics from a bygone stage in Egypt's architectural experimentation. A handful dare push their imaginations further still, proposing they support underground networks or ceremonial descents postulated to mirror the passage through the underworld. What is for certain is their strength. The staircase has stood the test of time, enduring beneath centuries of shifting sands. Winds have stripped the rock, and water has eaten its shape, but these steps were purposefully hewn to last. The artifice laid by the reasons of the universe shall never permit even time to erase these lines and surfaces. The steps, it is something to ponder, incapacitate us from positing that there are prehistoric edifices positioned for us to resurrect beneath the desert's very belt, underlying also, in addition to the levels the ruins we now understand provide. The stairs descend into darkness, but the location itself already carries a legacy of lost ambition. Djedefre's ruined pyramid. To understand the sealed staircase, you must first understand the land it cuts into. The site is called Abu Rawash, a plateau of stone and sand about 8 kilometers north of Giza. At first glance, it lacks the grandeur of Egypt's famous necropolises. Where Giza boasts the soaring perfection of Khufu's Great Pyramid, Abu Rawash appears barren, scarred by winds, and dotted with rubble. Yet this landscape holds one of the most intriguing and overlooked chapters of the Old Kingdom. Here, more than 4,500 years ago, Pharaoh Djedefre, son and successor of Khufu,
excavating near the pyramid of Djedefre, the son of Cheops, the famous king who built the Great Pyramid,
began constructing his pyramid. It was meant to stand as a monument to his reign, a counterpart to the giants of Giza. But unlike Khufu, Khafra, or Menkaure, Djedefre's pyramid never became a timeless wonder. Instead, it was reduced to ruin, stripped of stone, and quarried until little more than its core remained. Today, the pyramid looks more like a flattened mound than a royal tomb. To many visitors, it might seem like a failed monument, forgotten by history. Yet beneath that ruin lies a story of ambition, innovation, and destruction that directly connects to the mystery of the staircase. From the start, Djedefre's pyramid construction was unusual. While the huge Giza pyramids were erected from the desert ground up with millions of blocks, Djedefre's project was set on a natural hill. This decision greatly reduced the amount of stone required to reach elevation, seamlessly integrating the artificial pyramid structure with the underlying natural topography. A brilliant solution, but also one that bound the pyramid to the geology beneath. Underneath, bedrock passages, cut ramps, and hidden chambers became part of its construction. The reverse premise makes it entirely possible that other amenities may also be part of this wider substructure.
how the pyramid was built. Djedefre Pyramid is the best location for you to know that.
The sealed staircase, for one. For a long time, archaeologists have studied the reasons why the Pyramid of Djedefre has remained in a ruined state. There are suggestions that it was never completed, being abandoned midway before construction could even be finished as a result of his short reign over Egypt, and these are, of course, considered possibilities. Others, however, think that it was intentionally dismantled in ancient times, the granite casing stones stripped by later civilizations for their own monuments, or burned down on the ground of the plateau. Remnants of Roman-era quarrying leave vivid scars across the plateau, and shards of pottery mingled with granite debris hint at centuries of unbuilding that have done so much away from Djedefre's planned glory. In fact, his pyramid became another mine in the resources of other empires. What comes forth to see today is not the monument he planned, but a skeleton cleaned by time.
If it was even completed. But now, thanks to the work of Michel Valogia, we have some idea.
It is modeled on the even more ambitious projects of Khufu. Ancient records suggest that this pyramid was once timed to be considered grand. The gigantic causeway stretched down to the Nile floodplain, an engineering feat as remarkable as those of Giza with granite casing stones shipped in from Aswan, hundreds of kilometers away. The Pyramid of Djedefre must have been the most costly in terms of construction. It was no mere experiment. It was a royal undertaking that involved so much effort that it deserves recognition far beyond the rubble we see today. The surrounding plateau reinforces its importance. Abu Rawash was not an isolated site, but part of a sprawling necropolis. Tombs, ceremonial structures, and cut passages mark the area, many predating Djedefre himself. Archaeologists have uncovered early dynastic burials nearby, indicating that the site carried sacred or strategic significance long before his reign. This layering of history complicates any interpretation of the staircase. Was it part of Djedefre's construction, a later Roman addition, or an even older remnant, reused or obscured by subsequent civilizations? The location also mattered symbolically. From Abu Rawash, the plateau offers sweeping views across the Nile Valley, with sightlines stretching toward Giza's pyramids. To the ancient Egyptians, such alignments were never accidental. Positioning a pyramid here wasn't only practical, it was symbolic, a statement of power and cosmic order. The sealed staircase, descending into the earth beneath this plateau, could well be part of that symbolic landscape, a ritual descent mirroring the pharaoh's journey into the underworld. Within this scarred plateau, the staircase isn't just an isolated curiosity. It may connect to a larger story of ambition and ruin. How the staircase entered the public eye. For decades, Abu Rawash was a name that barely registered outside the world of Egyptology. Tourists flocked to Giza, Luxor, or Saqqara, but the plateau north of Cairo remained quiet, its ruins largely ignored. Djedefre's ruined pyramid was known to scholars but rarely discussed in popular books or documentaries. In that neglect, the sealed staircase lay unnoticed until a handful of grainy videos and obscure photographs pushed it into the spotlight. The earliest images were not from professional archaeologists, but from curious explorers and locals who wandered the plateau. Using handheld cameras, they captured brief, shaky footage of a trench descending into shadow. The images were poor in quality, but they conveyed something undeniable. This was not a casual depression in the earth. It was a deliberate, stone-cut staircase plunging into darkness. Viewers could see the sharply defined walls, the regular steps, and the unsettling void at the bottom, where daylight no longer reached. These clips circulated online, igniting curiosity among those always on the lookout for hidden features in Egypt's desert. As of now, the site was caught in the attention of independent researchers. French explorer and writer Antoine Gigal, for example, attracted wider attention to the staircase through her photographs and descriptions. She noted its unusual length, the accuracy of the cuts in the walls, and how eerily alike it is to underground descents of much larger attractions like Saqqara. Her work, which was published on some small archaeology forums and alternative history websites, provided the initial structured attempt to explain what one is seeing. The intrigue was not merely in the structure itself, but in the fact that almost no mainstream publications mentioned it. This void left the stairway shadowy. The plateau of Abu Rawash also lies partly within a militarized area, and anything like access to it has always been irregular. Some happened to come across access points, and at military checkpoints were blocked from going ahead. A few people got to the site under the eyes of the guards. Such a restriction created an atmosphere of concealed knowledge, and it provoked speculation that the officials would purposely leave it in obscurity. Unfortunately, the ones most likely to restrict access had more security problems than anything that would more accurately be defined as conspiracy. But the result is the same. More than mystery can flourish in silence. Time does strange things to desert winds. The sand, once partially covering the trench, retreated to reveal the steps leading down into the shaft. To the locals, this did not register as anything out of the ordinary. Desert landscapes are in constant change. For the outsiders, however, the sudden emergence of a deeper descent seemed almost like God's revelation, an act of nature unwrapping something hidden away from mankind. The flight of drones became prominent around this time, and the online viral clip later featured some truly sweeping, breathtaking views of the staircase. Now, for the first time, from high above, these trench-like features appeared, long, straight, and almost absurdly precise beyond the plateau before disappearing into darkness. These surveys with drones changed the scenario entirely. What was mere conjecture, grainy and blurry, is now rendered crystal clear. The angles can be measured, the depth mapped, and it can be given that it was not a random quarry pit. It was certainly an engineered piece of ancient engineering, but the camera also confirmed the mystery indeed. At the bottom of the descent lay only darkness, debris, and water. There was no clear resolution, no obvious chamber waiting to be entered. The staircase seemed designed to tease curiosity without offering answers. The debate was already scorching with the star now visible worldwide. A Roman stepwell, a former ceremonial passage, or perhaps an entrance to something older. Was its secrecy a matter of true archaeological grasp, or an effort to conceal discoveries that shake history? Very few excavation reports gave something to shoot at for either side. Skeptics dismissed it as an unremarkable site, while enthusiasts pointed to its precision and scale as proof of something special. But the biggest question remains unanswered. What exactly do these steps lead to? Engineering a mystery. When you first look at the sealed staircase at Abu Rawash,
one such enigma is the mysterious staircase of Abu Rawash.
It doesn't resemble a tomb, a temple, or any of the monuments Egypt is famous for. There are no towering pylons, no decorated lintels, no inscriptions proclaiming the name of a pharaoh. Instead, it is stark geometry, steps cut into bedrock, flanked by sheer walls, descending into silence. And yet, this simplicity conceals remarkable engineering that makes the structure unlike any ordinary excavation. From above, the staircase appears as a long, open trench, its sides cut in near-perfect vertical planes. The craftsmanship suggests a deliberate plan, rather than opportunistic quarrying. Early observers noted that the trench runs in a straight line for most of its length, a uniformity that would have required careful surveying in an age without modern instruments. This is not the work of a haphazard workforce digging for stone. It is the imprint of design. The descent itself is composed of broad, shallow steps at first, designed to allow a measured, comfortable pace. But as the trench progresses, the angle steepens. The steps become narrower, forcing anyone descending to take slower, more deliberate strides. This gradual shift feels intentional, almost as if the structure was built to slow a procession, to change the rhythm of movement as one went deeper. To some archaeologists, this is evidence of a utilitarian adaptation. To others, it hints at ritual intent, where every step mirrored a symbolic journey into the underworld. Survivors among the afterthought visitors to the lower levels have recorded the existence of the porcelain urn terminating in the vertical shaft. Herein, the stone walls seem to plunge into eternal darkness, and the base appears congested with both rubbish and stagnant water. Some hold that this could indeed be a natural blockage, considering the debris that would have collapsed into the shaft over several centuries. Others think it could have been placed there as a conscious action, to seal up whatever lies below. If it is indeed an act of closure, there could very well be a hidden door, chamber, or continuation somewhere deep inside that shaft. The truth cannot be established without the benefit of excavation. Another extraordinary observation is the condition of the trench walls. They are quite smooth and even for their age. Tool marks are evident, yet the kind of marks made hints at the coming together of organized labor and skilled artisans. The trench presents, in fact, a uniformly maintained width its whole way downward, emphasizing the level of care taken. But why, if it was purely functional, go to that much trouble to keep it looking symmetrical? In fact, the very absence of chaos hints at something more than practical construction. It is just as necessary to note what the staircase lacks. Unlike Old Kingdom tomb passages, it carries no inscriptions, no painted plaster, no carvings of gods or pharaohs. Its silence is absolute. This absence complicates interpretation. Sacred spaces in ancient Egypt often announced their purpose with symbolism, while functional installations were stripped of decoration. Thus, the sealed staircase broaches the gap between both. The common quality too obvious for ordinary dismissal gives it singularity. The simplicity is insufficient for ready classification as ceremonial. Some archaeologists insist the answer is mundane. Others argue it may be a gateway to the forgotten past. Competing theories. Few archaeological features in Egypt inspire such polarized interpretations as the sealed staircase of Abu Rawash. On one hand, many scholars argue for a straightforward explanation. It is simply a Roman-era step well,
The best preserved Roman buildings exist throughout the sprawling Roman Empire.
a utilitarian construction for accessing water. On the other hand, alternative voices suggest that it could be something far more profound, a ceremonial descent, a hidden royal passage, or even part of a vast subterranean network lost to history. The gulf between these views reflects both the limits of current evidence and the depth of human imagination. The mainstream interpretation begins with the tool marks. Archaeologists who have studied photographs of the staircase walls note the consistency of the chisel patterns. They resemble the iron tool marks common in Roman construction, not the copper chiseling typically associated with Old Kingdom masons. The Romans were known for reusing ancient sites, and Abu Rawash already functioned as a stone quarry during their occupation of Egypt. For them, carving a long stairway into the plateau to reach groundwater or to support quarrying logistics would have been entirely practical. The lack of inscriptions or pharaonic symbols further supports this view. Egyptians of the Old Kingdom rarely left sacred spaces undecorated. Romans, by contrast, often built purely functional structures without ornamentation. In addition, contrasts can be found between two. The widespread use of stepwells in arid parts of the Roman world included very tall vertical shaft wells for the collection of water following a long descent of stairs. The layout at Abu Rawash, gradual slope followed by steeper drop and then vertical shaft, fits this model within a hair's breadth. So, to many professional archaeologists, it was not the reason for its building, but the reason why people found such a simple explanation hard to believe. And yet, doubts remain. Alternative researchers claim that the scale and accuracy of the staircase seem too much for a plain stepwell, especially when smaller, more uncomplicated wells can do the same job. Why create such an elaborate descent when you could easily have pulled up the water with a tiny rope? The sheer effort involved in cutting hundreds of steps into bedrock makes it seem that the whole act is beyond utility in the ceremonial aspect. Some find its parallel in the Serapeum at Saqqara, a subterranean complex of long corridors leading to sealed chambers. What if Abu Rawash hides in its shaft chambers similar ritual chambers, which remain unopened to this day? On the other hand, some point out alignment. Preliminary surveys indicate that the angle of descent, about 27 degrees, resembles the passages in the Old Kingdom pyramids going down, which were sometimes aligned with different circumpolar stars. If such is the case with this staircase at Abu Rawash, then most probably there is some nonsensical coincidence. It could be a deduction that the builders wanted it to serve some other purpose than as a water source, perhaps as a symbolic descent into the underworld related to the pharaoh's cosmic journey. The largest theories visualize the staircase as an entity within the forgotten secret underground network. Egypt is teeming with unfinished passages, empty tunnels, mysterious wells, and countless forgotten miles of subterranean passageways. Proponents of this idea equate Abu Rawash to those sites' massive subterranean structures in which steps upward evince the evidence of inspired yet unfinished work. Could sealed staircases be conceptually included in other systems, linking formerly sacred sites, now full of sand, or maybe collapsed through underground passages? It may be speculated, but without excavation, the possibility continues to remain intestinally tantalizing. To break the deadlock, modern technology offers a way to investigate without touching a single stone. Drones and scans. In the past, mysteries like the sealed staircase at Abu Rawash would have remained locked in rumor and speculation until a sanctioned excavation took place. But archaeology in the 21st century no longer relies solely on picks and shovels. A new generation of tools, drones, photogrammetry.
Scientists received the special authorization to scan this peculiar pyramid from the air, thanks to innovating technologies such as photogrammetry.
Laser scanners, and even cosmic ray imaging is rewriting the rules of discovery. These technologies allow archaeologists to probe, measure, and reconstruct sites with astonishing accuracy, all without disturbing a single grain of sand. The staircase itself first gained credibility when drone footage emerged. From the air, researchers could finally see the trench in its entirety, tracing its straight lines, steep descent, and termination in a vertical shaft. What grainy handheld videos could only hint at, drones revealed with undeniable clarity. This was a massive, deliberate construction, not a casual cut in the desert floor. By flying repeated passes over the site, drones captured hundreds of overlapping images. These were later stitched into high-resolution 3D models that effectively allow anyone to walk the staircase in virtual space. From above, the models highlight details invisible to the naked eye: uniform wall planes, consistent step widths, and the precise angles of descent. And thus, photogrammetry is one step further. The software analyzes the drone images pixel by pixel and literally computes the exact measurements for the trench. Average angles of the initial slope may now confidently be stated to be around 27 degrees, alarmingly similar to the slopes going into Old Kingdom pyramids. Coincidence or not, this bolsters the case that the staircase was more than just a Roman water feature. As mentioned before, digital reconstruction registers patterns of wear and tear, tool markings, and anomalies such that a full record of the site will exist for posterity in case the winds shift or an unauthorized intervention occurs. Laser rangefinders, as well as GPS, can make yet another layer of precision. This is georeferencing the staircase within this broad plateau by georeferencing these tools to it. That information can be used by archaeologists to determine how the staircase aligned with surrounding theaters, possibly ancient causeways, and celestial orientations. If so, this would perhaps tilt the argument more toward ritual or dynastic origin. If not, then the case for a practical Roman construction gets stronger. Either way, the measures provide a factual foundation that removes at least some grounds for speculation. Non-invasive subsurface scanning, perhaps one of the most exciting frontiers, is able to reveal voids, underground chambers, or passages that may be blocked without actually breaking through. Ground-penetrating radar, GPR, is excellent at this job, whilst muon, the use of cosmic ray particles to create density maps, has already proven its usefulness on the Great Pyramid of Giza by revealing a hidden void above the Grand Gallery. The same technique could be applied in Abu Rawash to determine whether the shaft at the base of the stairwell leads to a sealed chamber or terminates in rock. Such scans will be costly and require government permission, but they do present the best hope of unraveling the mystery without incurring irreversible damage. Yet even the best technology can't erase the site's troubled past. Centuries of dismantling by later empires left their mark. The weight of history. To fully grasp the mystery of the sealed staircase, one has to understand that what we see today at Abu Rawash,
A couple of kilometers west of Cairo, lies one of the greatest mysteries of ancient Egypt, here in Abu Rawash.
is not simply an untouched relic of the Old Kingdom. It is a landscape layered with centuries of destruction, recycling, and silence. The ruins of Djedefre's pyramid, and perhaps the staircase itself, bear the scars of deliberate dismantling. They are as much a record of unbuilding as of building. The Romans, in particular, left a heavy hand on the site. Archaeologists have found abundant evidence that they systematically stripped Djedefre's pyramid of its granite casing blocks. These stones, once transported from Aswan at immense cost, were too valuable to ignore. Rather than lying idle in the desert, they were hauled away to be reused in temples, fortifications, and civic projects. The pyramid's once majestic causeway, which in the Old Kingdom carried materials uphill, now served the opposite purpose. Heavy blocks could be slid downhill to the Nile floodplain and then shipped elsewhere. Marks carved into the plateau suggest the presence of lifting rigs and anchoring devices, an infrastructure not for raising monuments, but for dismantling them. In this way, the pyramid was slowly cannibalized, piece by piece, until only its bedrock core remained. This past makes any interpretation of the latter much more complex. Whether the ditch and shaft were parts of Djedefre's initial substructure, or if they were also cut later by some Roman engineers out piercing, perhaps for managing water or facilitating quarry operations, the evidence is very ambiguous because of subsequent overlapping activities. What we may interpret today is also perhaps a palimpsest. These restrictions around the site have added another layer of complexity. Abu Rawash lies in a zone partly controlled by the Egyptian army, making access unpredictable and often very tightly controlled. While this limited access keeps looters and vandals away from the staircase that has fallen many of its fellow ancient sites, on the other hand, archaeologists with all proper credentials find it even harder to get permission to work there. It has thus been left in limbo for so many years, visible enough to tantalize the imagination, but restricted enough to incite speculation. Speculations love conspiracies. Some would argue that authorities know way more than they're letting on, that the sealed shaft may hide some marvel, and that opening it might put accepted history to the test. Others maintain that the restrictions are purely practical, meant to conserve the site until profane excavations can be made. Whatever it is, in any case, there is a nice irony here. That very set of restrictions designed to protect the staircase is the one keeping its secrets buried. Apart from that, there's the ethics of the matter. Archaeologists are painfully aware that hasty openings of sealed spaces destroy precious evidence. So many examples are there in history when tombs and chambers were looted or damaged in the fervor of discovery. The sealed staircase, if it does conceal an untouched chamber, is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Its context will never be restored once opened. This is why many would speak of waiting to use every non-invasive tool we have before breaching the shaft. If anything world-changing is down there, it should be revealed gently on history's terms, not ours. And yet, time itself is an enemy. Desert sands shift. Erosion continues. Unauthorized visitors may one day break through before professionals can. The longer the staircase remains sealed, the greater the risk that it will be lost, damaged, or desecrated. This tension between caution and curiosity, between protection and exploration, is at the heart of the mystery. The sealed staircase of Abu Rawash is more than stone steps. It's a challenge to history itself. Is it a Roman stepwell, a dynastic tomb, or the threshold to something older? For now, the desert keeps its secret. What do you think lies at the bottom? Practical engineering, or a discovery that could shake our understanding of ancient Egypt? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch the next video on screen for more mysteries buried beneath the sands.